Hello, and we are back. It's our first episode of the DownShift for 2026. As joining me is Schwags, Huppy, Lockie, and myself, KT, as we excitedly prepare for a very different Formula One season in 2026. In this episode,
2026.
Back to our polished standards straight away.
That's just very smooth, very smooth.
It's like we never left.
In this episode, we look at the first of the new livery reveals for Red Bull, and we were hoping for Toyota Gazoo Racing Haas, but not quite yet. Visit some of the rumours getting around as the season starts to warm up. We'll update our listeners and some of the key dates and events leading into the opening round at the Australian Grand Prix and share our thoughts on what we're looking forward to this year. As it's
The lights out.
The clutch.
Let's get racing.
Hello and welcome to the Downshift on our first episode of 2026.
We're doing this again.
We always do this. You've only missed the first 65 times he's done that.
Remember, we have the intro.
I'm just stirring.
And then we have the intro.
It's going to be a long year, Dan. Long year.
Strap in, Downshifters, because we are back after wrapping up 65 episodes, Huppy, in 2025. The 2026 Formula One season is already heating up with massive regulation changes shaking up the grid, 2 new teams joining the fray, and fresh rumours swirling. So 2026 promises to be a transformative year. Joining me in the pod is Huppy, our resident technical guru and fellow sim racer. Lockie, our resident weather expert and number one fan for the Audi Revolut F1 team. And Schwags, no longer our newbie to the sport, who are expecting to turn up the heat this year and ask the questions that new listeners to the sport really want to know. So welcome back, team.
No pressure at all, Dan. No pressure at all.
No pressure. Well, I could always hide behind the rookie sort of mantra, but that's
We can give you 2 seasons of rookie if you want. That's all right.
You've got this, Dan.
Okay.
You got it covered. You're all good, mate. You're all good.
Yeah.
Well, Alonso got a few years of being a rookie, so
Well, every decade you become a rookie again. You know, it's his 3rd time being a rookie.
Every time you change teams, you become a rookie. Yeah.
I don't want you to swap teams, Dan.
No, stay on the same team. But like, we'll give you 2 seasons at rookie.
what are you talking about here?
Oh,
Moving right along.
The offers will be coming in from all the other podcasts for you to join, Dan.
Phew.
Before
Oh,
you
dear.
know it, you'll be
Watch out,
on
man.
Formula One.
Are we not paying him enough to keep him on our
Be all right for
podcast?
the straight guy or something. Not that kind of podcast.
Too right for the Formula One guy. That's right. Yep.
Now, for those with great eyesight, we can actually see the perpetual Downshift trophy.
I put it in front of my Peter Brock trophy, so it's taken pride of place.
That is high
right
praise.
There we go.
Looks pretty small.
I was expecting something bigger, but I don't know if the 3D printer could make anything bigger than that. So anyway, there it is.
He did buy a whole new bookcase standing 2.4 metres tall to put it in, and then it turned up like this.
I was optimistic. What can I say?
A lot of effort was going into trying to select that trophy.
And that's the thanks you get.
But look, we'll be making our predictions in a few weeks' time after we've actually seen the cars out on track. So we have a bit more of an idea as to how we think the teams are going to go. But we are all hoping to steal that trophy away from you, Huppy, this year as we wipe the slate clean and make our predictions for the 2026 season before the Melbourne Grand Prix.
I'm so confident it's going to stay with me for a while that I've glued it to the shelf. So we'll see. We'll see how it
It's
goes.
got my name written all over it this year. I'm telling you
We'll just
right
take
now.
the whole shelf.
Good luck, everyone.
I'll take that bookcase so I can see whiskey on it too. It's fine.
There's a few there.
So look, as we kick things off for the 2026 season, we're starting to see all the teams launch their liveries. And Schwags, we had the Red Bull Ford Powertrains launch and livery reveal on Friday.
We did. I know you sent the email to sort of go, watch out, it's coming out. I thought, oh, crap, it's on. I better switch over and have a look. And I turned it off because it was all the boring stuff at the start and the drawing on about all of it. And then
Was
I
it
came back
exciting
over
viewing
and-
for you? You enjoyed it? Was it exciting?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it was boring. I mean, you've got to be a real keen fan to watch a livery reveal, I think, and through the whole
Christian
thing
did.
as they talk about it.
Tragic,
So what
they
can we
call
tell you
that.
about the Red Bull livery launch? Apparently it was held at Michigan Central Station. There you go.
Apparently. Did you watch it?
No, I didn't see the first bit where they introduced themselves and where they were talking. I kind of tuned in a bit late. So 2 teams, 2 icons, 1 ambition, 1 engine. Red Bull Ford Powertrains, the Challenger. So this is interesting now, the new Ford Powertrains. They're talking it up. They're looking forward to it. 700 people over 3 factories. And the DMO1, tribute to Dietrich Mateschitz.
Mateschitz.
I did, when they said it was a DMO1, I actually quite liked that. I thought that was touching as a tribute as far as engines go. So.
No, once more with feeling, Dan.
Hey?
He actually meant that.
No, I did. When I heard it, I'm like, oh, that's quite nice.
Yeah.
The launch of the RB22.
I think that was quite funny when you look at it. There was a lot of, through the recording, references to, they crossed over to the UK and saying, I don't know what time it is over there, and just falling over themselves going, again, this was pre-recorded and it was sort of chopped and changed as they went through. So I think they could have been a little bit better in regards to their production value, given the fact that they weren't going live, but they tried to make it look as though it was live.
At least they tried.
So I actually thought that the livery reel was fantastic. It was another blue and yellow and red car. It was great.
Spot the difference.
Let's put up from 2005 up until 2026, and we can see the massive variance in regards to the livery for the Red Bull.
To be fair, they've taken the word Honda off the back and put Ford in.
Apart from Oracle appearing. But I must say, in the 2025 image, the car was actually a little bit brighter than that, I think. So it probably looks closer to the 2026 livery reveal than that image shows. But I felt sorry for the drivers because what do? You're standing there, they've got to pull the covers off and pretend the crowd's cheering. No one really cares. And they just, because everyone knows it's going to look pretty much the same as last year. And it's not a proper aero spec. That's not what they're going to roll out with in testing. It's just like a bit of a show car. So pretty hard to get excited by it, I think, if you're a driver.
Oh, look, Max got really excited about the white line around the bull. He picked that out, which harks back to 2014. But I did like the fact that it was glossy. If they actually did a gloss car, that'll look really smart, especially for the night races.
Isaac was concerned about that, wasn't he? From the night races and having a shiny car.
He should be more concerned about keeping up with Max.
Do you like the wheel covers on the Visa Cash App car? Though?
Yeah. They look good.
Looks quite nifty. They were both revealed at the same time, and I think Liam was equally as excited about that car being revealed, and that was they were wrapped.
And the same as last year's colours, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but there's definitely more of an eye-catching sort of livery than the main Red Bull car.
Yeah, look, I think the Visa Cash App car was voted it was the fan favourite for last year, and with the white there, it does make it stand out. They've obviously had a little bit more blue for the Ford link, and obviously put Ford there in the bottom left-hand quarter panel. But again, it does look good, and I know Liam was saying, I hope they keep the white wheel hubs.
Through the year last year, the Visa Cash App Red Bull did a couple of nice liveries where I think there was one where there was like a model effect in the background or something that was sort of faded across, and there was a few they did quite well.
Yeah, it was a good-looking car.
Worse than Ferrari sticking a HP logo on it. So
Wait for it. It could get worse.
Yeah, that blue just clashed with their Ferrari red so much. It just didn't look good. But anyway, HP obviously paid some big bucks for it. But yeah.
They probably didn't expect it to print. They thought the blue had run out. It'd be like a big white panel.
What did we think of like the proportions of these cars for 2020? Like I know the wings will be different and they'll look different when they go to testing, but the overall shape and the stance and everything else, I thought it looks, I think they look good. I think it's a good step forward.
I think they're a beefier looking car than last year's, and so there's a little bit more stance to the vehicle. They're
riding slightly higher too, so you're going to have a different effect as they're heading around as well. So, but I like them. I think they actually look good.
Yeah, I think we've got some pictures from the early testing, haven't we, from those laps of Cadillac and Audi later? But yeah, they're worth looking at if you're watching us on YouTube.
Yep. Well, if we jump into Audi and Cadillac, we may as well throw those up. So we've got a couple of blurry spy shots. So Audi, you can see here, who have had their first test at Barcelona to be able to see how the car runs. And then we've also got Cadillac, who was doing a shakedown at Silverstone as well, so running the Ferrari engine. Now, from that regards, there's been a bit of talk about the sounds of both the engines. Lockie, what did you think of the Audi?
Well, look, I mean, it was. Let's be honest. It was filmed from a distance. I mean, at one point you could hear a scooter going past in the background, so it did take a little bit away from the sound of the F1 engine when a little scooter was.
But did the scooter sound better?
It sounded underpowered, if I'm honest. So I think the car might have beaten it straight. So
is that a scooter Ferrari?
There we go. Yeah, but no, because it's an Audi engine, so it doesn't work like that. But I actually liked it. I thought they both sounded good. I mean, we listened to the Cadillac one as well. Even the Cadillac looks quite mean in the stance it's got right there as well. I mean, obviously it'll change when they put the actual all the sponsors stickers and things like that over it as well. But I thought they both sounded good. The Ferrari engine in the Cadillac sounded detuned. I don't think it was fully turned up for when it was actually going around the the shakedown laps and all that. But it certainly had a good rumble to it as it was.
I thought it was interesting that although the cars we know for 2026 are going to be a bit narrower and a bit shorter, like a bit smaller, I wasn't expecting to get a sense that the proportions had actually reduced. But when you look at that head-on shot of the Cadillac, it just reminds me of the V10 era, which were sort of narrower cars and smaller sort of package. I think it looks awesome. It looks really good.
And even the camber on those front tyres as well.
And the other interesting thing to note was that the Audi's got that rear fin that runs down the back behind the driver towards the rear wing. So I think a few aero commentators are saying that rear fin might come back this year on a few cars.
Yeah, I heard that there's quite a few of them actually looking to put it on there, and they actually said that the fin was back again.
So yeah,
it's got that too, hasn't it?
I didn't really notice it on their little show car thing. Like that's the thing, you don't know how they're going to turn up at testing because all these cars have got just pre-testing parts and bits on them. They're not going to be trying to give anything away to their competitors. And the Cadillac and Audi runs are just like a filming day, an integration test. The gearbox works. They actually run it on the track do a couple laps, and if nothing fails, big tick. But they get a little bit of data to go away and go, oh yep, everything worked well. They get the team on track and that sort of thing as well. So it's just a first entry-level test for the car. But yeah, the parts will be different. So I'm very keen to see how different the Red Bull and the Visa Cash App car are going to be when they get to actual testing in Barcelona. And the same with the Audi and the Cadillac. I'm really keen to see what they're going to roll out with.
Now, I know I said last year I was pretty ho-hum in regards to the Cadillac simplicity, but I've popped up the shakedown livery for the Cadillac F1 car there.
Is this a retraction, Christian? Is that what that is?
It is. Do you know what? This looks very, very sexy.
It looks mean, doesn't it? It looks like the Batmobile.
I was so excited when I saw this. I'm just going, this is amazing. Just black and silver was phenomenal. And what was a nice little touch as well is they actually put across the black all the names, everyone who's been involved in getting the team up and running. So through that livery, every single name's on the car. So that was really impressive.
That was a good touch. I saw the latest video in the series that they're doing on the Cadillac YouTube channel about the team and getting to the first round in Melbourne. I think it was the fourth video in the series. And one of the ladies there was responsible for tours and doing PR in that for the business. And she'd been working for F1 for 25 years or something, but she was all about team. She said it's more than just two cars on the grid. It's about all the people and all working together. And so they've obviously built that into their culture. And yeah, the livery it's a great idea and it looks good.
Can they get speed on track? That's the question.
And the first thing I thought, of course, was if they don't have a heap of paint on the car, they're probably trying to save weight because they're overweight. But, probably not, but yeah, it could be.
Well, they've got to have 55% painted from the side and from the top.
Right.
That's the new regulations. So, so from that regards, it has to be a minimum 55% paint. So you're not going to see there can be, 45% carbon fiber.
Yep. To save
but even
weight.
That works with that design. I mean, that'll look phenomenal.
I mean, the paint does add weight to a car, and my teams have always tried to minimise the weight in their paint schemes to save weight. And the getting to the weight limit or the minimum weight for these cars, I think there was discussion about that last year that it could be tough early on to get there. And although it's only rumours at the moment, we heard that was it Audi, I think, apparently have hit the minimum weight target already. Someone
Alpine.
said Alpine, was it?
Which is surprising because Alpine over the last few years, because they're very much about the pink paint livery, is if you recall back, I think you go back 2 or 3 years, they revealed a car which was all pink and then they came to track with all carbon fiber. So yeah, they're actually claiming that they've hit the weight
we know they
limit
can't
already.
do that this year, so that'll be changed.
Well, to be fair, I think Alpine probably missed a few parts, didn't they?
They probably left a few bits off.
bits off,
That
shop
accounted for
floor,
some performance here.
Oh, the engine's got to go in. Oh, damn it. Where's that going to fit?
Wind up the lacquer band and let it go.
Speaking of engines,
It's a beautiful tie-in to the fact
what a
that
segue.
seamless.
It's like we planned it. Wow.
We've got
Wouldn't
Alpine,
that
who
happen?
is running a Mercedes powertrain for this year, along with Williams, McLaren, and obviously Mercedes. We then also have Ferrari, who are supplying, as well as themselves, Haas and Cadillac. And we do have the new partnership between Red Bull and Ford, which will be providing the powertrains for both Red Bull and Racing Bulls. Honda will be supplying Aston Martin this year, and Audi will be coming to track with their own PU. So it will be interesting to see in regards to that, given the fact that they're new to the sport completely.
That'll be interesting to see if they can get that up to speed and spec.
Extremely experienced though, Lachlan. Like we were chatting last week about this, and you were saying they've got the experience to get it right.
Yeah. Well, because how long's Cadillac going to run a Ferrari for? Like just the first year, or they?
No,
I think it was
they
3,
moved to
2?
their own martin in 2029.
Okay.
Yep. So they've got 3 years of Ferrari and plenty of time to develop their own. But yeah, I mean, it's just one of the stories for 2026 is new power units. So it'll be fascinating to see how Audi can go.
Depending on how Ferrari engines go, it could be the longest 3 years of their life.
Well, Christian, you sent out an image the other day of and it was I think it was the speed on how the old engines,
the acceleration,
and the climb of the new ones was almost vertical. Like that acceleration and climb from those units is beyond ridiculous. And if that's actually going to be correct on that, we might see some very quick dashes down the straight. A couple of those first corners, we could see some huge pile-ins.
As long as they can pull up before the corners and the walls.
Like, it's great if they're grip limited because they've got so much power coming out of corners, then that's great for racing. Like you want to see cars coming out of a corner leaving black strips down the track. Like
Sideways.
That's great, yeah.
Pair of 11s as it goes down, that's right.
So this is from Formula Data Analysis, and you'll see here that the blue line, which is the Max Verstappen Monza pole acceleration. So you'll see there with the red line, this is the 2026 prediction. Now, it is just a prediction in regards to that acceleration. And then if you add the ERS override, which is the energy recovery system, so the boost button, you'll see that going up as well. So the acceleration is just neck breaking. So if we see this is going to be absolutely amazing. You see cars come out of corners onto the straight, and if they're going to overtake a competitor, it's going to be amazing to watch.
It'd be interesting to see if the gap is like that, like the difference. That's but yeah, we've already had drivers commenting that based on their driving in the sim, it's a different car to drive. Like you have to drive it in a different way, manage the energy differently, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Well, that's going to be the key, is that managing the battery, given they've now got 3 of them, and trying to figure that out and go, okay, well, what's the best usage deployment? How do I recharge that in a timely manner as well, and still keep pace with everybody else?
Yep.
I think that's going to be the biggest, personally, I think it's going to be the biggest challenge for the teams and the drivers this year is the energy recovery. When you're talking about almost 50% battery, to be able to recharge that over a couple of laps, you're not going to see cars getting back to full energy as quickly, because essentially what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to use their braking coming into the corner and be able to get that energy recovery. They're going to have to ease off to be able to get electricity back into the car, and I think they're going to struggle with it.
I think
the first few will be good.
The racing could be different, as in the way you drive, the way, like you said. And I was thinking the other day, like we see footage all the time of the teams, and their simulators, and they've got their driver in the loop system, which is they've got a huge simulator. It costs millions and millions and millions of dollars. They try and model the car as accurately as possible, engine, aero, everything. And they do laps around the track. They test different setups and components or whatever. But I don't know if they have the capability of actually having multiple cars on test and doing like race simulations. Like, what if you deploy all your power down the straight? Is someone else going to be able to overtake easily, down the straight at Barcelona or Melbourne or Suzuka or whatever, like, do they have multiple cars that they can put on these tracks to do like a proper simulation to see what the racing will be like, not just the overall lap time, but the racing and how you drive the car to get the best result. Like,
Because don't we have different aero this year too?
yeah, there's different aero. Yeah.
So then that's going to impact how the cars
Yeah.
follow each other.
They've got this X mode and Z mode. You can open up front and rear wings, and there's limitations around that. So that will affect things as well.
So Dan sent me a message before. We do want to ask it in the group chat. He wanted to know whether all this new technology and everything, is it going to make Monaco a better race to watch, or is it still going to be garbage?
That was a very
Yes,
insightful
we have an answer. Christian, would you like to answer?
With my personal bias, I'm going to say yes.
Oh, right, okay. Mark that
Look,
down.
I think
The fact
what
remains,
we're going to
still
see.
wanna go there.
Yeah,
You still don't want to go.
You're still not going to see any more overtaking. Like, it's not going to change.
No, look, I think what's going to be interesting is how people deploy the energy, because not only is it going to be for overtaking, but it's also going to be for defending. What I'm hoping that we'll see is a lot more strategic racing from the drivers. So I think in regards to this, there's going to be, because you can use the boost and you can use the X mode and the RZ mode throughout the race. If you're within a second of another car, you're not waiting for a DRS zone. So you could be coming out of a corner into a short straight, using your energy, changing your aero to be able to get a little bit more pace, and we're going to see a lot more tactical manoeuvring on the track. That's my hope and my prediction that we will see.
To get an overtake done on a short straight, though, even if you're close to someone, like if they can run that close, you need a significant difference in power to do it. So, yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I'm expecting there won't be a big change in overtakes per race. There might be a few more, but hopefully I'm proven wrong. But I mean, there'll definitely be some variables at the start with the way teams have gone in the aero direction, and I guess the other big thing is engines and power, and who's got the most grunt, when they roll out at testing and go into the first round.
Where the best places on the track are to have that extra power in the bank.
Well, they'll have done it all in simulation.
Will they overtake on it? Yeah, okay. Well, you say will they overtake on a short straight? Well, yeah, they might, but maybe the other driver's like, well, I'll defend on that short straight too, or
yeah, exactly.
I'll also have some backup.
Yeah,
I would be able to go, oh, here he comes. I better hit override or whatever.
And that's what they've done for the past, X number of years. But they'll know in simulation that the quickest way to get the best lap time, the lowest lap time will be deploying as much power early down a straight and save enough that you can use some on the main straights where you need it, right? So there's an optimal way to get the lowest lap time, but then you also have to keep in mind, how do I defend if someone's behind me or whatever? Yeah.
And don't forget, they can't change. They've got to have another car within a second in front of them to be able to engage as well. So if you've got someone who's a second behind you, they can use all the tools at their disposal. But if you don't have a car in front of you, then you're going to be at a disadvantage. So be able, and that's across the track. So it's not just on a DRS zone anymore. It's anywhere around the track. So you've got that choice as a driver.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how those regulations work.
So the lead car's always at a disadvantage.
But it always has been with DRS too.
Okay.
Yeah. And potentially more so now, because you have the ability to use these tools throughout the track,
Anywhere,
you're not just waiting for one or two zones where you can use it.
They've still got clean air, so
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Well, we saw what happened last season. Like, if once a car's in front, they tended to stay in front.
Yeah, but
unless you're a McLaren, of course. But
by the end of those regs, they'd also developed more downforce than they used to have before that. And these were regulations that were supposed to reduce the downforce. Teams just work and find ways to get more downforce. So it got difficult to overtake. But now we're going through another raft of changes, which is again supposed to make it easier to follow cars in front of you and get closer.
I have a thought about this season and our championship trophy, that maybe we should have a prediction on which teams are going to make the most protests against other teams throughout the season.
Red Bull.
Can tell you now, it's going to be Red Bull and Mercedes. They are the two. They are.
Oh no, hang on.
They are demons for it.
With one C Horner potentially going to Alpine, that could actually put them in front.
Well, so even if he goes to Alpine halfway through the year, he'll probably outscore everyone else in the last half of the year with protests. So yeah, that's a good point.
It's
Because
not
that's what's
Probably
gonna
won't
fair.
catch up to Red Bull. So
That's what's going to happen this season, isn't it? There's just going to be a
Well,
whole lot of regulations that have everyone's finding loopholes, and
there's been
interpreting them
questions already.
differently, and everyone else is going to question it.
There will be heaps. But even before we started, there's been a lot of discussion about compression ratios of the engine, which we can talk about in a second, because some teams think other teams are bending the rules and getting more power and finding grey areas.
Wasn't that what we were leading
whether
into
the
about
engine's
15 minutes
warm
ago?
or cold.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
So, Huppy, it's a
What a
perfect
segue.
opportunity to talk about compression ratios.
Wow, what a lead in.
It was nearly
So
like it was
what's
next in our run sheet.
Sponsor's going to be a Segway still a business? Can they want to sponsor?
Yeah. So the first protest or questioning of the FIA is regarding compression ratios of engines, because it was rumoured that Mercedes and Red Bull, even though last year the maximum compression ratio you could run was 18-1, and that's been reduced to 16-1 for this year. But apparently Mercedes and Red Bull have found a way to get past the FIA test, which is done at like an ambient air temperature. So they test when the piston hits top dead center in the cylinder, how much compression does it make? Apparently Mercedes and Red Bull have found a way to increase that pressure when the engine's hot, and therefore get a higher compression ratio when the engine is running, maybe using parts that expand with heat and things like that. There's some technical aspects to it. And the FIA has looked at it and come out with a ruling already that says, no, we're not changing the test. If teams are able to do this or work around that, good on them. So now it means every other team is going to be busy exploring how to do the same thing. So yes, you're exactly right, Daniel. There'll be lots and lots of things like this. There'll be spy cameras everywhere at Barcelona. There'll be like photographers, spy shots of other teams, and questions to the FIA like, oh my God, if you thought you had a cruisy
Newey
as
will
a
be
technical
there.
delegate at the FIA last year, you are going to be very busy this year. Very busy.
The suggestion box will be overflowing.
Yeah, but that's great. Like, we want to see innovation, and we want to see people pushing the envelope and finding grey areas. Like, I think that's ingenious. If they can actually find materials that work at an engine that revs to like 17,000 RPM, developing this power over a race distance, and they can get higher compression ratio somehow and not have it blow up. Awesome. Well, it's amazing. Like, good on them.
Yeah, and so when
let
we
the advancement go, let them go.
We are at the pinnacle of motorsport. This is about bringing innovation to motor racing, which then filters its way down to automotive manufacturers a decade later. But, this is where we get advancement in technology.
By all means, regulate the safety. Let the performance innovation run its course.
But the rumor is that if they can pass the test at 16-1 compression ratio, but actually get it up to 18-1 during the race, that could be worth 0.3 to 0.4 seconds of time per lap. That's a huge difference. It's a big difference in Formula One. So, yeah, everyone will be looking at how they do it as well.
So that gives an advantage to Mercedes, McLaren, Williams, and Alpine.
Alpine will clearly take the biggest advantage out of that.
As long as their aero is good enough, yeah, we'll see.
So with that, and one of the things that I found really interesting is over our summer break, the Northern Hemisphere's winter break, I was listening to Beyond the Grid with Tom Clarkson as he's interviewing Toto Wolff and Hal Thomas in regards to Mercedes's preparations for the 2026 season. What I found really interesting was that Toto actually point blank said they've got too many customers now in regards to their engine program. So when you think about it, coming into Melbourne, they've got to supply two engines for the cars, and they've got to provide another 2 reserve engines. So they've got to bring 16 PUs to Melbourne for that Grand Prix. So Toto said that looking beyond 2026, they'll be looking to reduce their customer base by 1 team. So essentially that's McLaren, Williams, or Alpine, who are on notice that they're going to need to find someone else.
Hey, wants a reliable one, mate. A reliable one.
Well, given the fact that Ferrari, because they're one of the first teams who have moved away from investing in the 2025 car, they put all their focus on 2026 to come into this season ahead of the game. They reportedly had started developing a steel cylinder head, which would actually increase the durability of the engine with extreme pressures so that it would be more reliable. it is rumoured that that was actually taking about 30 horsepower away from the likes of the Mercedes. So they've been rumoured to move back to the conventional aluminium ceramic mix. So they'll be going back to a more similar PU. But actually, we're seeing that they've got a radical change to their suspension. So they've got a flexible front suspension with 2 suspension rods, which gives it a lot more flexibility through the corners, but also putting a push rod rear suspension in, which will give them greater handling and more camber through the corners. So it'll be interesting to see how that works versus the other setups as well.
I guess other teams will have different configurations, and it depends on their aero platform and how they want the car to work, and it'll come down to who can make their setup work the best.
Can I interject with a novice question here about the engines, since we're sort of
novice now?
Engines. Well,
Sure.
I don't know. I mean, do I need to apply for an upgrade?
No, you're out of rookie. You're into
stature,
novice.
or I mean,
You've had your rookie year, Swag. So
yeah, I'm not going to jump too far ahead of myself, but I can at least be a novice, perhaps. So there's talk about the 16:1 and the 18:1 compression ratio, and obviously Mercedes have got that, and others don't, and then Ferrari, with the steel cylinder head and other bits and pieces. As the season goes on, obviously we'll start to see whether what's working, what's beneficial, whether it's the compression ratios are working well or the steel or whatever. The teams through the season have a limited number of engines and do not have the ability to change engines or engine parts as they go through the season. Is that correct, or?
They do have the ability. In the previous years, they've used a token system. So every team has a certain number of development tokens, and they can use those towards upgrades for the car, for performance upgrades. If the team argues that they need to change a part in the engine for reliability, then they could do that without using up a token. This is to prevent failures and things. But if they wanted to introduce a new cylinder head for more performance, or different exhaust configuration, or materials or something like that for performance, then they would use up some of their allocated tokens. So teams they'll work on a package that they want to introduce. They'll work out how much they can do to the engine. And it might take a while because they've obviously got to look at what everyone else is doing. They'll have, like I said, they'll have spy photos. They use sophisticated ways to tell what other teams are doing, like even high fidelity audio recordings, and they can work out what RPMs engines are running at when they shift gears. So there's a lot of data they can get externally from other teams' cars to try and analyze what their opposition's doing, and that gets fed into their development program. And then they work out, do we want to use 2 tokens to change the cylinder head and make all these changes? And that can take time, but they will be working on that, flat out.
So technically, based on the rules, each driver is allowed 4 engines per season, and you'll recall from last year when they actually change over an engine, they take a penalty. So they actually have to go back to the back of the grid or start from pit lane once they've swapped the engine over. And you'll see that Max did that late in the season. I'm trying to remember what race it was. It was at
That one.
Yep,
yeah,
that one.
yeah. So,
It's
but
quite
yeah,
strategic when they did it, though.
correct.
Yeah. No, they usually try and do that. Yeah. But again, those engines all have to be the same spec. It's just a fresh engine that they get. And if they use up a token for performance, they can apply that to new engines that are produced.
Just one sidestep on that in terms of penalties. I've read that Valtteri will still have to have
Yep.
grid positions overhanging him from 24, is it?
Yeah.
Something like 4 spots.
Yeah, that they're
I
not
thought
like
at one
license
stage they
points; they don't clear away.
Yeah.
I thought at one stage they were saying, no, it will get wiped, and then I saw again recently that it's apparently back on.
Poor bugger. He looks so happy. I've been following his social media in South Australia, and he's been at his
He's been living the
winery
Aussie life.
living the Aussie life. I'm surprised we haven't bumped into him somewhere, and you're going to have to start Melbourne a few places back from where he qualifies. But yeah, enjoying life.
Oh, no, look, he'll be a fan favourite, especially as he's now almost become an honorary Australian. So
He's home away from home.
Well, like he might as well get those four places out of the way first up when you've got no clue what the engines are going to do, no clue what everyone else is doing. Just go, you know what, just get it out of the way.
it's not going to hurt.
No.
The first races for Cadillac are going to be let's just try and get a clean race in. Let's see if we can finish, check the systems, do whatever.
The least of their problems.
If they don't finish last, I think they'd be popping champagne. That would be good.
Look, I mean, Cadillac was saying they need to be competent, a contender, and then a champion. That's essentially their 3-step plan.
They're certainly putting the effort in from what their TV little YouTube series shows. It's a massive, massive undertaking, and they seem to be doing it properly. So let's see how they go.
I think to your point, Huppy, and this is where just the philosophy of the team, and we look at the World Endurance Championship, so WEC, the effort they put in regards to that vehicle, that development of the engine, and they didn't win, but they've continued to push forward in regards to that effort, and they're going to do exactly the same here. It's a very, and I'm going to probably sound wrong here, but a very un-American approach to coming in and saying we're the best straight away, we're the greatest. They're actually come in quite humbly and they've said, this is a journey. It's a process we've got to go through.
Yeah, and Formula One is multitudes more complicated, expensive, bigger, and more difficult than a WEC program. Like, just let's not beat around the bush. It's a big step up to commit to all the infrastructure, 700 employees or 600, whatever they've got now, and build this stuff and compete at that level and do a good job. So if they can get anywhere near the midfield in their first few races, it would be an astounding effort. Like, it really would. So hopefully, I'd love to see it. Like, it'll be great.
Wouldn't they just take over another engine manufacturer?
No, they want to build their own.
I think they want to do their own.
Yeah.
Like an engine manufacturer called Greenland? Just thinking. Never mind.
I'll bring back Cosworth.
Anyway, moving right
along. We're not a political podcast. All right, let's go.
So look, before we get into what's coming up for the next couple of weeks, Lockie, we've got a little bit of sad news which we do need to cover off.
Yep, so unfortunately Alpine have confirmed they've reached a mutual agreement with Jack Doohan to part ways following their campaign for the 2025 season.
That means they sacked him, yeah?
Well, no, they released a statement that said BWT Alpine Formula One team confirms it's reached a mutual agreement with Jack Doohan to not continue his driving services with the team for 2026 FIA Formula One World Championship season.
That means they've asked him to resign.
Other career opportunities.
All right.
So the other thing is, apparently, though, they've done this because he's looking to compete in the Super Formula Championship there in Japan, which is literally still high-speed, high-powered cars that are quite comparable to the F1.
A Formula car, yeah.
And that will then potentially still line him up if another seat in Haas or something else was to appear. He could be then at the top of the table for that.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I mean, like, he'd want to be released so he could go and drive somewhere else and not be sitting around as a reserve, I guess. So
collecting dust.
Well, in order to actually do some of this, they had to actually release him so he could then drive these other circuits anyway.
Yeah.
And Super Formula is an awesome series. It's just, they're great cars, great circuits.
Oh, Liam Lawson's raced there. A bunch of others have raced there, and they're a really quick car. Like, it's a good step up towards Formula One. Like, yeah, a good series.
And it's interesting you mentioned Haas, Lockie, because, I mean, in the end, there is going to be a seat available at Ferrari at some stage, maybe very soon, maybe in the next 1 to 2 years. And Ollie Behrman is already almost got his foot into the car there. So, they'll be looking for someone else to...
The same with that rookie driver they've got down there at Alonso, I think's his name. If he might be stepping out in the next year or two as well.
He might do all right, though. The rumours are he's not too bad.
He's good for a rookie.
Let's see what he can do for the year.
Maybe we should call him a novice instead of a rookie. He's had 1 year there, hasn't he?
Oh, look, nothing would make me happier than to see Fernando Alonso do that again.
We'll see. Can't wait to see what testing brings. This will be good.
Exactly. Bring it on.
Yeah. So look, for all of our listeners, we do have, so as we continue through the next 6 weeks before we hit the Melbourne Grand Prix, we do have the Haas livery reveal, which is moments away. So we're waiting. Imminent, that's exactly right. So followed by the next day, we've got Audi revealing their livery, Mercedes, Ferrari and Alpine for this week. We've got plenty of that to talk about as we come into the podcast for next week. Next week will actually be the opening of the first private shakedown in Barcelona. So all the teams have the opportunity of picking 3 days out of the 5 to go and shake down their cars and see how they're performing behind closed doors. So we'll be all seeing a lot of blurry imagery
Hopefully we get some good spy photos. Like, I would expect so. Yeah.
Look, even what we've seen so far in regards to both Cadillac and Audi, that as we're talking about the audio, but it hasn't been too bad in regards to what we've seen. So I reckon we'll see quite a bit there.
Now, the Cadillac imagery was quite good.
So after that private testing, we've then got Williams, Cadillac, Aston Martin, and then finally McLaren to reveal their livery before we then have the first of the public testing, which will be in Bahrain on the 11th of February for test session number 1, and then test session number 2 will start on the 18th of February before, and I'm sure we'll have a nice little viewing party here for Drive to Survive, which will launch on the 27th of February. So it'll be interesting to see behind the scenes what happened through 2025 before we hit the Melbourne Grand Prix on the 6th of March.
There'll be some good episodes in there.
Would hope so.
Yeah, I'm interested to see a series of Drive to Survive after having actually watched a season.
All the races. Yeah.
Seen the races. Because previously I'd seen Drive to Survive and go, oh, that's an interesting story, but not actually seen the races as such.
We'll see how heavily produced it is and whether they stitch in shots from other races. And but yeah, usually they do a pretty good job. It's entertaining. It is. It's good behind the scenes stuff.
Who'll be the villain this season?
Anyway.
We'll
Well, it'll be interesting to see because as they're talking about the three-way battle between Lando, Oscar and Max. And I guess, is it too soon to be able to touch on the news that came out from McLaren with the reason for Oscar's drop in performance for the second half of the season?
Yes.
Well, the tiny hairline little crack that you can't see to the naked eye and only under a microscope. I don't know.
That's the one. Yes.
I don't know if that's worth commenting on, but
Let's wait.
Something-
till next week
it's
to
been
find
and
out.
gone. We'll see what happens. Like Oscar's been on this trajectory versus Lando, so I think on a head-to-head, 2026 will be a pretty stonking year for McLaren supporters. We've got some good talent in the car.
It's going to be
Provided
on
they
for
can get
young
the
and old.
car going.
Exactly.
So with that, look, everyone, it is great to be back. As I said, for our next episode, we will look at more of the reveals leading into the secret Barcelona shakedown week, where we will see the team's spy footage as they're getting around the tracks. I'm sure they won't avoid prying eyes. With now only 6 weeks to go until we see 22 cars hit the Albert Park street circuit.
Yes.
Yep, bring it on.
Bring it on. Can't wait. Well,
I can.
yeah. I'm looking forward to another 10, no, another 8. No, 8, 10, 9 actually. Livery reveals because they're
Riveting.
Riveting.
I'm going to wait for the summary from Dan so I don't have to lose too much sleep.
I
over
do
that.
know not to speak to Lachlan when they're doing the Audi reveal, though. He'll just be, he'll be in a
Well, you can
Well,
try. I'll just turn
He'll
my
be in a
phone off,
dark
so it's
room.
dark room. Yeah.
fine. Go team, go
Please
team.
don't go there. Jesus.
Anyway, moving on.
All right. Well, with that, only one episode for this week and one episode in the weeks leading up to Melbourne until we can start to do some previews and reviews of races. Until then, we will see you all on the next lap.